Greetings from the right coast. I was looking at some of my content dealing with the pest control management and things of that nature, and this is a caveat video, a caution video. I did pest control for 12 years, roughly about 12 years, off and on. It will mess you up. I've been messed up many times. Well, from twitching to there's all kinds of symptoms. So I wanted to give some type of cautionary reminder, if you will, especially with the rats and the rodents. I wanted to touch on that. Any kind of baits that you use, all those things that I mentioned, all that stuff. It is highly toxic and deadly for your cats and dogs and any kind of other pets that you have. Anything. Highly toxic to fish, aquatic life, reptilians. It's not a good thing. And it's also toxic for you. It's bad for your plants. If you're growing anything and you're using that stuff anywhere near it, it's going to get into your plants, and therefore it's going to get into you, and you're going to be susceptible to these things. Once I got messed up the first time, and I had to go to the hospital. I had to go to the emergency room. That's when I started doing my research. That's when I found out how deep the rabbit hole goes. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? Let's talk about the pest control industry and the chemicals involved and the research that is not done. Okay, that's a big one. What they do is they allow the big companies and corporations like Bayer and AstraZeneca and there's a bunch of them that make this stuff. The regulatory allows them to do their own research, okay, on what the efficacy is and all of that, and how what's the lethality rate and how long does it keep, and there is some guidelines that have to be met, but the pest control industry is only about 70 years old, roughly 70 years old, and it's come a long way. It's a lot better. Back in the day, you guys remember all the chlorodyne. The chlorodyne, it's still there. The DDT. Everybody heard about the DDT and the bald eagles and the fish, and yeah, it was highly systemic, meaning that it moved from target area into whatever, and it moved into the plants, it moved into the wildlife, and into the fish, and eventually into people and kids and all that. This shit's bad. This is really bad. So there's a reason why that there's a lot of training involved and procedures and things of that nature. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much PPE you wear. It doesn't matter how much cautionary things you do. If you do it for long enough, you're going to get hit by it, and it's going to mess you up. So that's the main reason why I don't do it anymore. And plus, it was a family business, and we all know how that goes if you're in the family business. So yeah, I just want to really talk about the cautionary part of it. That's why I harped on the integrated the IPM of it all. That's where it's all going. It's a scientific formula used in the pest control management field, which really focuses on observation and exclusion, other than being the other option is going there and just slamming chemical everywhere, and that's the real bad stuff. I can go into depth about the chemicals used and their side effects and things. So getting back to the research and development and their own testing, the companies are allowed to do their own testing as far as like cautionary things, and then it's evaluated and says, oh, okay, yeah, good, because we're talking about millions upon maybe millions and billions of dollars here, so nobody's going to want to touch them. And if you try to fight these guys, they're going to shut you down. They got more money, more time, more lawyers than anybody can ever possibly imagine. And yeah, it's definitely big. Pharma, big pharma. It's all tied into that. Agro, pharma. It's the world order. Absolutely, you absolutely fucking believe it. Absolutely, they want to do that. So messing with this stuff will mess you up. It will mess you up. And once I did the research and I tried to reach out to experts, medical experts that I thought could help me. They promptly shut me down. They just said, "There's nothing wrong with you. Get the fuck out." Yeah, there should be no reason why you're twitching uncontrollably. There's no reason why you should be puking. No, it's something else. Really? I know what's wrong with me. Having that feeling that you're being poisoned, it's a strong feeling. It's an undeniable feeling, and dealing with all that stuff, it's not good, not good at all. So when I found out that something was wrong with me, and I tried to reach out, I even tried to reach out with my work. Obviously, they don't know. They just said, well, it's your fault. They're going to throw it back on you. Oh, it's your fault. You didn't follow the necessary requirements. You didn't have the right PPE on that you were supposed to have. You didn't follow this procedure. This is yada yada yada. It's all your fault. And that's what they're going to do as well. So they disavow. They have no heart. They have no. There's no recourse. There's no recourse. There's no way that you can go into it, because you can think about it. If can you imagine how many people would be suing if they knew the truth? And so they don't. So they hide it. But there were actual organizations, colleges, and some other world organizations that actually did the research and crunched the data, and it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. The little guy with the B&G can that comes in and sprays little baseboards, it's not doing much. You're not doing much at all. He ain't doing shit. But what he is doing is he's poisoning himself, you, your kids, and your dog. And they look at it as two different kinds of exposure, pesticide exposure, and that deals with acute and chronic. Acute is something like you spray it on you and it burns. Usually that's some kind of agent inside of it that lets you know, yeah, you got it on you, and it's going to burn. That's I think I was talking to somebody. They were talking about demon. There's a lot of stuff that, oh man, it's nasty stuff. Demon wettable powder. It's got capsicum in it, which is well, y'all know what that is. That's pepper spray, and it burns because the active ingredient cypermethrin is highly toxic. It's extremely toxic, but it doesn't have a really long residual. It's usually made in a wettable powder, what they call a wettable powder. You pour this powder into your B&G can of water, 1 gallon of water, and you spray it everywhere, and it adheres to the surface, and it acts as a deterrent, a strong deterrent. There's so many types of pesticides that are deterrents. There's also baits. There's also systemic. When you get into agriculture, especially with big pharma, they've introduced that systemic type of plant where they made it more systemic, where the whole plant soaks up the pesticide and becomes one big pesticide plant from root to stem, or root to leaves, and the bugs just stay away from it. And then if it's a tubular that's connected to all of the others, they spread it out throughout the whole system. making it just terrible, which leaches into the ground, gets into the groundwater, and it's a mess. Well, anyway, getting back to the studies that were done, they found that people were getting exposure and having symptoms as kids. Kids are bad because kids crawl around on their hands and feet. They put their hands in their mouths. They put their feet in their mouth. They put anything that's on the floor in their mouth. They're always touching themselves, touching your face. We talked about that before. Don't ever touch your face. Don't ever touch down there. I did that with demon wettable powder and burnt for 24 hours. Yeah, not fun. Intense. Getting pepper sprayed in the dick. Not fun. Anyway, that's what it felt like. The eyes. I had to go to the hospital because I got it in my eyes, and all I did is I did this. That's it. That's all I did. Because we're always playing, trying to adjust ourselves and groom ourselves. We got to pick our nose, the hairs, and things irritate our mucous membranes. The eyes. That chemical overspray can mist up and get into your eyes, not only through your, so there's so many ways it can get into your, oral, through your mouth, through your nose, through your ears. It can literally get in through your ears because your ears are connected to your nose sometimes, and there's popping. Eyes are really it's a mucous membrane, and it's very absorbent, grabs stuff. Dermal, so your hands. Your hands are usually tough. They're usually tough, but there is some soft fleshy parts that can absorb a lot of that stuff, the dust that the powders. There's a lot of orthoboric acid, deltamethrin, those kind of powders. They can really mess you up and absorb right through your skin. So, and over time, you can imagine getting exposed to this over time, all the time. It will really, then you go from acute to chronic, and you have it, and it's in you, and it stays in you for a while. And there's no real way to test for it. That's how they've designed the system. There's only they have to be very specific, and they've designed it so that it passes through your body quickly, without doing a lot of damage. But when a lot of people can and will get anaphylactic shock. I had that as well. I went into anaphylactic shock. I was wondering why I was blowing up and had to go to the hospital, and they're looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know. My fingers are fat." My tongue was swelling up, and they had to shoot me full of Benadryl, and it was because of Termidor, use of Termidor. It's a termite bait, a midocloprin. So even the baits can mess you up. We talked about Final Block. It has a brotificin in it. You definitely want to use gloves and take those gloves off and throw them away in a bag promptly in the garbage so that you or anybody else cannot get that on them. It's a blood thinner. It's a very powerful blood thinner, and pets love it. They do. Tastes great. It's got it's very tasty. So there's a lot of caution that's involved in this. So holistically, that's why I push the integrated pest management, the exclusion, the observing, the monitoring, the inspections. That should be continuous. That should be more continuous and important. And then once you have some kind of issue, then you address that and you devise a plan of how to eradicate that, usually through exclusion and using holistic means. Anybody that's ever done chickens and cows and even plants, diatomaceous earth, it's very inert. It's a silica based. It's a what do they call it? It sucks the moisture. It literally sucks the moisture out, and that's how it kills. That's how it kills a lot of the mites and the bugs. It clogs up their system and pores, and it literally sucks all the moisture out and they die. So that's how it kills, and it's made by diatoms. If you know what diatoms are, they mine this stuff out of the earth, out of old where the ocean used to be. So these little bitty diatoms, you can look it up. These things are amazing, and they're different shapes and in sizes, and they take that earth, diatomaceous earth, they mine it, they clean it up, get all the impurities out of it, and pound it into this chalky kind of substance, and that's what you do, and you use it on your chickens, and you can actually eat this stuff too. There is food grade diatomaceous earth that you can eat, and it's got some properties. So some of the things I had to do to work in the industry is I had to be severely, I had to absolutely just detoxify myself constantly. I was taking, I was doing the diatomaceous earth. I was doing these lots of green tea, lots of honey, anything to flush my system in Acacias. And on top of that, it's a very physical, taxing kind of job. You're in this PPE with gas mask and in these extremely hot situations. So you need lots of water. You're crawling and carrying things, and I used to call it parkour pest control. I would jump fences and crawl under shit, and it was fun. Climb things, but you got to be in you got to be in really good physical shape. We used to call it the pest control weight loss program. Anybody that would join that was overweight, within 3 to 6 months they were in tip top physical fitness. You have to you're carrying like 30-40 pounds on you at times, usually all day, walking as fast as you can, through these hotels and apartments and restaurants. Me personally, I was up, down, up, down, up, down. I was standing on my knees, on my belly, crawling around, under crawl spaces in houses, trying to weasel your way through an attic and rafters and nails. So we had to use a lot of that stuff. The other stuff I used to call yerba prima. It was what's it called? It was a lava. This lava stuff. It was made from. It was a lava paste, but anyway, you take a tablespoon of it, and it literally like stretches all throughout your system and sucks all the impurities and pesticides out, and you just you get rid of it. But you can't eat. That's another thing, is you had to fast to use this stuff. That's really good for detoxifying the body. There's some other things, but this pesticide it adheres itself into your fat cells. Into your body has a efficient way of getting rid of it through certain methods, and it pushes it out your urine and number one, it gets rid of it through number one, number two, and throughout your pores. You can smell it. You can smell it in your pores. Niacin is really good for that as well. I remember when I was doing Shaolin Kung Fu, I would work all day in pest control, and then do Shaolin Kung Fu at night, and it's really a intense workout, intense sessions, and everybody around me were like, "Oh my God!" The stench coming off my body as I was sweating. I was sweating out these pesticides, and I smelt like a freaking chemical factory, just punching it right out of me. It was rough. You lose your sense of smell. The whole time I was in pesticide or pest control, I couldn't smell anything, and it took about 6 months for me to be able to smell again. And who knows what kind of issues are coming from it. My uncle, he did it for almost 25 years. And, he started back when there was not a lot of regulation in it. So he died of a rare form of leukemia. Yeah, around 2010 in his 70s. So and he was the owner of the company here. So I'm not gonna. I don't really care. I can say what I want. They can kiss my ass. But yeah, that was family. So yeah, it's a very serious thing, and I'm glad that I got out of it. I was glad that they gave me a reason to get out of it, and I kept going back and forth into this industry, and seeing these people that I had worked with before in the past, and I could see the symptoms in them. Walking with a gait, because you don't have good balance. It gets in there neurological. It can mess you up. It really will. So be careful with this stuff. Read the label. Use the PPE. Don't use it around your pets, your kids. Don't use it around any kind of plant whatsoever. This stuff will mess you up in everything that you love. So I mean that's my little cautionary. I find it very, very necessary to talk about this, even though I gave out all that information about what to use and what to do and all this. The most important thing is to observe, inspect, and exclude. That's the best way to do it. And a lot of companies, which we laughed at and scoffed at the time, they were using vacuum cleaners to get rid of roaches. We were using chemicals. They were actually going with with little microscope, little magnifying glasses and tweezers, and picking out the bed bugs and the eggs, and things of that nature that come from, there's a lot of eggs there. There's so much to get into, bed bugs and roaches, and nothing kills the eggs. Nothing kills the eggs. You can spray whatever you want. The egg sac, the ootheca, let me say that right, ootheca, is a remarkable suspended animation machine. It really is. It really is. In most species of insects, going from spiders. You ever seen the spiders where they explode and the egg sacs go everywhere? Same thing. Nothing really kills the egg sacs. So that's something to think about. So it's good to know when they come out, when they breed, what their instar time is, how long is the incubation period for fleas. It's every 3 months, 6 months, and you can't do anything about it. You can try to take it, suck it all up with a vacuum cleaner or get rid of everything, but they're gonna pop up. Fleas are always a problem. And fleas come from rodents. Rodents will spread the fleas. And they talk about, let's talk about the bubonic plague that came up in one of the comments. Yeah, the bubonic plague, they say it was spread by rats. And they say it was spread by the rats and their fleas. That could be part of the vector, but they did actually trace it down to a cistern in one of the towns that was also a rat haven inside the cistern, where these literally thousands of rats were living in this cistern, because people were living back in the Middle Ages. In that time, they were living in these big, huge societies, and they had water areas, watering holes everywhere, and that's where you went, and you literally, you did everything there. You took your bath, you got your water, you cleaned your clothes, you cleaned things, you cleaned your cooking utensils, and a lot of people would just dump their refuse right in there, and it would drain down, and it pooled up and created this amazing place, this amazing harborage. The rats literally burrowed around the cistern, which they made out of rock and mortar and all that, but it didn't matter. The rats did what they wanted. They made this elaborate burrow nest kind of thing throughout the grounds into the cistern. So they had food, they had water, and they gave everybody the bubonic plague because they all drank at the same well. We all drink from the same well. We all pull water from the same well, my friend. Yeah, be careful with that. Be careful with that analogy. Yeah, the Black Death. there's so much to get into there, so much, but I just want to just stress how terrible this stuff really is. So if you want to look into the holistics, mind you, they only work for temporary means. The best way, the best way. There's some things that actually work. Matter of fact, one of the most powerful pesticides is called pyrethrin. It comes from, and this is totally holistic, pyrethrin comes from the a chrysanthemum plant, the chrysanthemum flower, and they crush it and they render the juice from it, and that's where you get pyranol or pyrethrin. And from pyrethrin, they make all the other derivatives from that, delta methrins and cypermethrins and anything with a thrin in it. That's where all that comes from. It comes from, and it's big business, huge, all over the world. You can imagine where all this stuff comes from. Chrysanthemums. If you're worried about like agriculture, plants and things of that nature, look into parrot planting, where certain I've heard marigolds. There's a lot of plants that you can plant with your crops that will literally repel other pests. They just don't like it. A lot of things. Don't be using all this crazy stuff like this was a really good one I found, is mothballs. Mothballs. Don't use them. They are extremely dangerous. What's it called? Hypenmethylene, something, I forget what it's called. But yeah, you used to be able to take that and mix it with gasoline and make it explosive, but not so much anymore. They changed that. Gasoline and Drano and gasoline and hyper and mothballs. Anyway, that's one of those anarchist cookbook things. But anyway, this stuff will mess you up. These people, they put it all underneath their house in their crawl space. And this stuff, the mothballs, it emits this fume. It's a fucking fume, and it's dangerous as hell. And it was literally going through. It was all in their crawl space because they were worried about snakes and all that. And it works good. Moths, put it in your closets and inundates into your clothes. Your clothes soak all that stuff up and inundates you as well. And you get that methylpropylene, whatever it's called. I forget that, mothball. So these people were putting it under their home in their crawl space, and it was seeping through the floors. They put a lot in there, and it really messed them up. Headaches and fog, brain fog, all kinds of stuff, twitching and seizures. And it's not a good time. Not a good time. This stuff will literally poison you. I've been poisoned. I know I have, and I know I'm messed up from it. And I'm never going to ever get any kind of money from it. There's no way. And plus, it's family, and they have nothing really to do with it. They're getting messed up as we speak. They just don't know it. There's this machismo that comes from the pesticide. Oh, I'll drink that stuff. I'll drink a big old cup of that poison in the morning. Put it right in my coffee. Yeah. Because I'm a real man, yeah. As you're coughing up blood, and you forget where your car keys are as they're in your hand. I mean, walking into walls, puking. I mean, you dying of leukemia. This stuff will mess you up, so don't mess with it. I mean, don't mess with it. I'm about to get on a rant here. I've seen people that gotten blind. Like, why are you blind? Oh, I was in pest control for 30 years. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, don't fuck around with this shit, man. It can mess you up. But it's definitely something that you have to consider. Definitely something that we have to consider in this whole society culture that might come from the ashes of this new brave world that we're going into. Shift Pest Control. Shift Pest Management. Teowalkie. Maybe I'll call it. Maybe I'll start my own pest control company. Call it Teowalkie. Teowalkie Pest Control. I own that. Don't use it. Anyway. Damn, that's already 30 minutes. I don't want to sit here and just keep rambling on, because another thing that's been going on, especially now, is that with my YouTube channel is that it's always taking me roughly about 2 hours to produce 30 minutes of content, get it loaded and out the door and on, so to speak, and on my page. Now it's taking it even longer because I have to go through my process, and then YouTube takes it and does their process. So it's like a double process. It's like somebody is sitting there taking it and watching it and then letting it go. So it's taking hours. I mean, day. It started with the Q&A section with Josh. When I pumped those out, it's like they descended upon me, and everything I pump out now is just being held back all day long. So who knows when this video is going to come out? Right now it's 1 o'clock. Sunday night or Monday morning, 1 o'clock. So Sunday morning, or Sunday, whatever. Yeah, you get the point. So we'll see what happens with that as well. Just be careful with this stuff. Don't mess around with it if you really, really, really don't have to. Look into the holistics, I guess. But if you have any questions, please, ask me, whatever. I'll let you know what works and what doesn't, how effective it is, and how, how you can effectively use it as well. That's very important. Don't be like that. I heard about this in New York. They literally blew up an apartment. The apartment in New York had so many roaches in it, and it was a little bitty 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment, whatever. And the guy put 50 cans of Mister in there, of bomb. The classic bomb. I'm just gonna bomb it. No, the bomb doesn't work. All the bomb does is it pushes them into the walls and makes them hide, and then they come back out later. So basically, you're bombing and covering everything you have and own in a pesticide, and the bugs are just retreating and just going, we'll wait. It's okay, we'll wait. We're not coming out, because they're masters at hiding. And they literally, like this couple, put 50, I don't know how many, but it was enough to make the apartment explode. So just one's bad enough. Fruit flies and things of that nature. When we were dealing with fruit flies, everybody's like, "Hey, can't you just set off a bomb?" Like, the bomb's not going to kill anything. What you need to do is keep it clean, keep it dry. That is what I've preached throughout my career as a PCO, is keep it clean, keep it dry. You won't have any more problems. That goes, and I'm talking to restaurants with high volume, and they don't clean. They don't clean. Even if they do clean, it's some little kid, some snotty nosed kid who's gangster thugging, yo, G Money, yo, I'm gonna flip these burgers, yo, sup, yeah, and hey, Joe Schmuckatelli, I need you to get underneath that grill and get all that grease out of there. Man, I ain't fucking doing that shit, yo. What you think I am, fool? I'm a gangster. Yeah. I met these guys. I know these kids. They're out back by the garbage can watching the rats go in as they smoke a joint. Talking how they're a trap star. Look at me, I'm trap star. Yeah. Gold teeth in their mouth. Whatever. Don't get me started. But don't get me started. It's already been too far into this. But yeah, keep it clean, keep it dry. That's the key. That's the key. This is Mad Shad, signing out.